Well, good morning and welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? Before we get started, I want to ask you to make sure that you are subscribed. We're getting a lot of people being unsubscribed, not getting notices about new content that comes out from this channel. I think YouTube is jacking with us. I've never thought that before, but I've had a lot of people tell me about problems that they're having. So we're gonna fight back on that, and that is a bunch of yoo-hoo. Make sure that you're subscribed. If you're not, get subscribed. Give it a thumbs up if you like it, and share this video if you like the content. We appreciate it. We want this information to get out to as many people as possible. The more people that you share this with, the more people you're going to help, and you're going to help us in what we're trying to do, and that's getting people prepared, not just physically, but in their mind as well. We are a nation under threat. I don't think that's a big surprise to most people. It's probably a surprise to some people who just, won't accept what they see happening around them. But I wanted to start this one out as I talk about this with a squib that I got. Mad Infidel Prepper is a fairly new subscriber here. He's left a couple of good comments, and by the way, I appreciate all of your comments. I haven't had a chance to get back and respond to all the comments for the last couple of days. We've had so many comments, and I've been really busy, and I apologize for that. I like to get back and respond to all the comments if I can. So anyway, I've noticed a couple of his recently, and so I went to something, and I don't remember what, made me go to his page, his YouTube page. He doesn't have any content up, but I hope that he will, because of the quality of the comments that he's left. But I wanted to read you, because I wanted to find out a little bit about him. Okay, simple as that. So, Mad Infidel Prepper, good to have you, and I like your stuff. Anyway, I want to read to you all, because this leads into what I'm going to talk about. He's a retired Marine EOD tech. He says, the state of my nation that I love very dearly is under a threat from within its once sacred halls. And by that, I'm sure he's talking about our government. He's exactly right. I have no trust in our system any longer. We have been invaded by Marxists that were raised in our very homes thanks to the massive propaganda machine formerly known as the public education system. I'm going to read this through, and then I'm going to go back and respond to each sentence, because they're all good. Many of us refuse to give up our birthright. Some, like myself, has risked everything we hold dear, including our lives, to protect the rights of people in countries that hated us. Yeah, I want to address that particularly. We will not simply disappear, as those of us that truly see will not go peacefully. America must survive in a manner of its former glory, or everyone who thinks like our founding fathers will soon be just a memory. What a succinct, what a wonderful observation. Mad Infidel Prepper is exactly right. The threats that we face, our country has faced threats from outside ever since its inception. The threats that we face from inside are not necessarily new, although the magnitude of them is, but we understand those threats better now than we ever have before. Now, I have to say that, I saw the threats, which was what made me leave law enforcement back in the 80s. I saw what was going on, and let me pick this up. We're going to talk about each of these, and then I'll be interested to hear all of your comments about this. Then I'm going to wrap it up with kind of what we need to be thinking about. Okay, he says, the state of my nation that I love very dearly. Yeah, me too. I love what America is supposed to be. Supposed to be. And pretty much once was. Is under a threat from within its once sacred halls. You know, when you study the history of our country and you read the writings of our founders, it is, I mean, inspirational. It doesn't even come close to describing the 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 God-given direction that the founders of our country had. I don't think anyone can argue with the fact that America was founded according to God's grace, and that we have gotten away from that. I won't make this a religious one, but the Bible is full of what happens to a people when they turn away from God. We're seeing it happen here and now. He says, I have no trust in our system any longer, neither did I. When you get inside the monster, I've said this before, when you get deeply enough inside the monster, which I was back in the 70s and 80s in law enforcement, especially when I got up into federal law enforcement, and I saw the corruption there, and I saw how they were working not for the American people, but against the American people. I saw the truth of this I don't even know what to call it, this disgusting mess that we call our government, and that's why I left. So I agree with him 100%. We have been invaded by Marxists that were raised in our very homes thanks to the massive propaganda machine formerly known as the public education system. Isn't that the truth? The education system, I read some time ago, I think it was over on the American Reversion Channel, the 45 precepts of the American Communist Party. If you have the book The Naked Communist, you can read them yourself. I'll read them again here sometime. But one of their goals was to, and this was put out in the 1950s, and they've accomplished pretty much all of it, was to take over the education system. And that really, the public education system back at its origin was always designed to produce rather dumbed down, socialist-leaning, progressive-leaning people. It's just become, since the 60s, it has just gotten worse and worse and worse. And as bad as we thought it was in the 60s and the 70s, we couldn't have dreamed that it ever would have become, the socialist, Marxist, communist incubator that it is now. I could tell you stories about that. I don't have to. You know exactly what we're talking about. Well, I won't even go into that. Many of us refuse to give up our birthright. That's right. Well, I've said, and I'm not going to put words in mad infidels' mouth, but what I've said is that I distinguish between the United States of America and America. America being the dream, the thought, the mindset of how America was based. There is no country called America, but America is a way of thinking, a way of life. That remains, and that is the birthright that we were given by our founders under the direction and protection of God Himself. So he says, many of us refuse to give up our birthright. That's right. Some, like myself, have risked everything we hold dear, including our lives, to protect the rights of people in countries that hated us. Isn't that the truth? It used to be when we fought an enemy, we were very careful not to let people from that country into our country. You look what happened with Germans during and after World War II. Well, of course, we brought in a lot of their top scientists, but people were very, very careful. The horrible and unconstitutional way that our country treated Japanese Americans back during World War II. I'm not saying that that's right. What I'm saying is that we used to be very careful and very suspect of people from countries with whom we had been at war. In some cases, that was, legitimate. In many cases, it wasn't. But at least it showed a national sense of self-protection. Anymore, we don't. We just bring them in. Now, I mean, you can go back to, we brought in a lot of people from Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia after we left Vietnam. But for the most part, they were, those people for the most part have become very, very good citizens, and we, I won't say that we vetted them very well, but for the most part, they've worked out. Now we're just allowing people, and this is what he talks about. It's we're under threat from its once sacred halls. Our government is now bringing in, we know, thousands of people from countries in which we have been at war and who hate us. And they're doing this for a reason, because they want to bring down our country. I had somebody ask me the other day, how do you know they hate us? And it was kind of one of those. I had made the statement in a previous video. I said, well, you're going to, when this country changes, you're going to find yourself surrounded by people who hate you. And they say, well, how do you know they hate you? Well, here's the thing. Not all of them hate us. Some of them are very good people. Some of the people that come from other countries are excellent people, and I like a lot of them. I love them. They're hard workers. They're smart. They're nice. They're polite. Many. Their cultures may be different. Their language may be different. But then our country is made of a lot of people whose cultures and language were different, and they meld into the American fabric. But the thing is, I know these groups, and I know that within these groups are many people who just flat out hate us. Even some people from countries that you would think are our friends. A lot of people resent. They will talk. They will talk well. Oh yeah, America, America, but they resent. A lot of people resent America, and resentment is just the seed of hatred. And he's exactly right, and I was exactly right. So if you wonder, how do I know they hate us? I don't. Not all of them do, but enough of them do to present a serious threat down the road. Whether that's a threat of violence or whether that's a threat of taking over the government and instituting policies of discrimination against certain groups of us here, we can see this coming. He says, we will not simply disappear, as those of us that truly see will not go peacefully. America must survive in a manner of its former glory, or everyone who thinks like our founding fathers will soon be just a memory. That's a great sentence, and I think that sentence could be lost on a lot of people. We must survive in a manner of our former glory. That doesn't mean. You remember when that moron Obama, went around on his apology tour and said, we can't have a world where America is the foremost power. We all need to kind of be even. We need to be equal. So those of us who have worked our butts off and built a nation and built businesses and built and invented things, well, we're even with the person who lives in the mud hut and never invented the wheel. Ridiculous. Of course, what their purpose is in this is they want to bring down the level of the producers. Now, they don't want to bring themselves down. They view themselves as the elite, but they want to minimize the impact and the importance of the producers, including the producers past, which produced everything good in the world. They produced some bad stuff too, okay? So don't come on and say, well, we did some bad stuff. Yeah, we did some bad stuff. Show me a country that hasn't done some bad stuff. Show me a person who hasn't done some bad stuff. So let's don't argue about that. But Mad Infidel says, we must survive in the manner of our former glory. One of the things that has given us our strength, one of the things that has given us our quality of life, is the fact that America, once having attained the position of the preeminent superpower, it gave us many, many benefits, not just militarily, but trade-wise and well, in every way. Excuse me, I got an itchy eye. Or everyone who thinks like our founding fathers will soon be just a memory. Right. What does he mean? That means everyone who feels the way our founding fathers did, with a love of freedom, a love of liberty, a love of this country, seeking the direction of God in all that we do, that's going to disappear. That will disappear. If we allow ourselves to be taken simply down and let's all just kind of boil together, this idea of the American melting pot. And that's something that I've never liked, that the American melting pot. So that when you get everything melted down, you get a huge medium mess. So yeah, I've never seen America as a soup. Okay, it's more of a salad. There's different types. There's different people. There's people of different abilities, of different sensibilities, of different beliefs, of different drive. Okay, but our founders saw something special, and they worked and they dedicated themselves to promoting and establishing something that had never been before in the history of the world. And it became something great. And we have many people now trying to tear it down. And the problem is not just from the outside, but with the inside. So what is this? This video seemed like it should be more on American reversion because we're talking about our country. The thing is the threat, and that's how Mad Infidel started. We're under threat. These threats are real. You need to prepare and understand that these are active threats. And I think you do. I think most people do. But for those of you who may not, or if you send this to someone, and please share this, if you send this to someone who really doesn't realize what's going on, people need to realize that the threats against our country are they are focused, they are determined, they are real, they are purposeful. None of what's going on is by mistake. None of what's going on is as the result of stupidity. The people who are bringing all these illegals into our country, they're not stupid. They're doing exactly what they want to do. And the result is going to be the collapse of this country. And it's good to prepare for a collapse, but a collapse in which this country still stands, but is changed in such a way that those who built it, those who produced it, those who continue to stand for the American values and principles we've all accepted. When that group becomes a minority against which discriminatory laws are formed, that's going to be about as close to hell as you can get on this earth. And you need to prepare for that, but I hope also that you'll fight against this on the way. We have far too many people in the preparedness world that won't participate in the pushback, either among their family and friends or politically or whatever. They're just they just want to get out there and hide, and go, it's all falling apart, and I'm going to be out here in my lean-to, surviving, the last man standing. Well, that's a bunch of crap, and it shows me that the person is not willing to stand up and do much of anything. Because if you're not willing to fight politically, you're not willing to fight at all. You're not. I shouldn't say you. A person is not. It's easy for somebody to sit back and say, well, I'm not ready yet. But when the time comes, I'm ready. That's a bunch of crap. Okay. Big talk, takes more than a cute saying on a black t-shirt to have an effect on the world around you. And the threats that we face now are such, and they are growing and growing and growing, that if you don't participate in trying to fix it now, Mad Infidel is right. It'll just be a memory. Well, you'd better prepare for that being a memory. And I'll tell you what it's going to take to prepare for that. Boy, it's a lot. It is a lot. I had a comment, I read a comment, and I think it was over on Patreon. By the way, if you're not with us on the Patreon channel, the link is down below. There's a lot more over on the Patreon channel. Come join us. We'd love to have you, and you'll get a lot out of it. But they said, well, somebody said, I think it was the question of the day. I said, so what are you all doing? And every day I pretty much put up a question that everybody can answer, and where they can chat about it throughout the day. And I said, well, what are you doing for preparedness today? And he says, our plans used to be pretty much like everybody else's, bug out bags and all. He said, but now we've added passports. And because the way this country's going, it's not going to be, I'm paraphrasing, this isn't exactly what he said. This country is not going to be the place to be, perhaps very much longer. What a sad statement that, I'm not arguing with him. I think that myself. Somebody said to Reagan, and I don't remember exactly the story, but they said, when we came, and I think it was maybe somebody who came from Cuba, he said, at least we had a place to go, when we escaped the communist regime in Cuba. He says, if America collapses, there's nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. This is what we have right here. We will either fight for it or not. If we fight for it, we'll either win or lose. If we don't fight for it, we'll lose. Okay. So anyway, the threat is ongoing as we approach the greater threat of total collapse. And I would suggest that you prepare yourself, not just for the big one, but being able to live well during all of those degrees of the process. Okay? All right. I think that's it. I want to thank Mad Infidel for giving me that thought to talk about here. The country is under threat. That means you personally are under threat. Your family is under threat. Realize that. And it's up to you to do something or not. You'll make that choice. And the result will be whatever the cumulative choices of the many people are. Okay? All right. Remember, I didn't bring my books over here. If you want to go down in the information section, the Stonemont series, I would suggest anybody that says, what should I do to prepare for all of this? Read the Stonemont series. You can get it either through Amazon, the link is down below, or you can get it directly from the Stonemont website at stonemont.us. 6 novels explaining, in a great story, explaining everything you need to know on how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a total collapse of everything. And we could be coming to a total collapse of everything. We will see. Join us on Patreon, and please, again, if you would make sure that you're subscribed, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, share this, and let's. I don't want them to keep this channel down. I think that's what they're doing. I just realized it, but help us build this channel, and I appreciate it. All right, You guys have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And the first step of preparing well is having a realistic idea of the truth, right? Of how things really are. You have to accept the truth of what's going on in order to really be able to prepare. So you all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.